Alright, hello, Prosciutto Man. Sorry this video took so long. It's been a minute. But I've been moving. My headset broke and all this bullshit. I'm recording off a temporary setup right now. This is my laptop, so it's probably gonna be a little different from my previous videos in terms of at least in terms of resolution and all that shit, and probably audio quality as well. But I'm back. I'm back is kind of the main point here. And I got a new tutorial for you guys about RPGMaker 2003. We're going to be doing events and NPCs since that seems to be the most popularly voted suggestion. With that out of the way, excuse me, I have a bit of a cold, so I'm sorry if that comes across in this video. Let's get started. So, when you left click, or right click you're going to have this set of options. Set player starting point, set vehicle starting point, create a transfer event, or create an event. Cut, copy, paste, and delete. These are all stuff that depends on. If you have an event there, it'll allow you to do that. If you don't, it'll have this option. So let's just create an event, put it down there, and you see you can't create a transfer now, and you can't create an event. You can edit an event. You can't paste. Yeah, basic stuff, right? So this is an event. We'll just call this event NPC. Yeah, we'll make an NPC here. I'll go over NPCs and then I'll go over some other kinds of events. So we'll give him the appearance of actor. So actor is going to be most of these graphics. This is talking about like presets, by the way. You will probably make your own assets if you're in any way ambitious with how you want to do your RPGs, but I'm just going through this as if you are using the default assets for everything. You're going to have actors. We have a bunch of actors here that we can use. We're going to have animals. We have a bunch of animals here you can use. Objects, which I'll get into later. People and vehicles. Let's make this one just this fellow here wearing a top hat. Movement type. This is going to specify how this character moves around. Stationary means he stays in place. Random means he moves around randomly. Vertical means he will go in a vertical, straight line. Horizontal will go in a straight line horizontally. Approach player, he'll come towards you. Away from player, he goes away from you. And then custom, you can set. I went into a tutorial bit about that in my cutscenes tutorial. You can go there to see more about custom movement types. Movement speed is going to affect the speed that the character moves at. So obviously, 8 times slower to 4 times faster. Stationary. Let's get him random movement route so that I can show you what the frequency is. Frequency is basically 1 through 8. 8 is going to be the same speed as like you holding down a key to move your character in a certain direction. 1 is going to be like he pauses a lot. It's determining how many pauses he takes. With 8 being he takes no pauses, with 1 being he takes very frequent pauses for a very long time. Priority. Jesus Christ, I'm sorry. I keep priority same as character, below character, or above character. I think I went into this a bit in my cutscene tutorial, but below character means that the player steps on this character. Above character means it hovers above the player. Same as character means it's the same as the player. The player can bump into him. Trigger action button means you press a button to talk to him. Player touch means you touch it so that then it'll activate. Event touch. This is mostly used for cutscenes and stuff like that. I don't know. I didn't talk about that in that video. But event touch means if you have another event that touches it, it'll work basically. Like, let me think of an example. If you remember those like old Minecraft, like this is gonna sound really out of pocket, but if anyone you remember any of those old Minecraft like things where you'd have like the chicken, and then you'd have like a little pressure plate, and it would activate a command block or something. That's essentially what event touch is like. It's that chicken touching the pressure plate for the command block to activate kind of deal. Auto run means it automatically happens, which can kind of be fucky depending on how things. So it's mostly for cutscenes. You could also use it for other stuff, but I prefer parallel process, which does not disrupt player movement or any actions, but has things running in the background in tandem with the action that's going on. we'll keep it as action button for now. And for bit event overlap, this means that, like, say if we had this character, right? We had a above character also moving randomly. This would forbid them from overlapping with each other. Standing animation, we can change this to walking animation, which will have him show his walk. Directional fix inanimate. Directional fix animated. Those both means that he will stay in that direction regardless of where the player approaches from. Fixed graphic, spin, or step frame fix. So I've never really used that, honestly. And I don't know of any situations of any people using that, so I'm not really familiar with that. Mostly fixed graphic is what I like to use, but, up to you. That's it. Oh yeah, we also have these. You can have a switch on. So these are like what allows it to show up. So if switch 1 is on, he'll appear, otherwise he won't. If this variable is greater than or equal to 0, he'll appear, otherwise he won't. If you have a potion, he'll exist, otherwise he won't. If Zach, who's the default protagonist, is there, then he'll appear, otherwise no. Etc., etc., right? And then might as well go in, and we have all these event commands. A lot of these are very complex shit. I don't want to get into them all right now because this is going to be a long-ass video if I do. The main ones you're going to have to worry about for NPCs, because it seems like everyone is asking about NPC characters. Not specifically about, like, oh, how do I make these kinds of events, those kinds of events. I'm just doing that just basically because I think it would be fun. The main ones we're worrying about is show text, changing items, experience points and levels. All this is very self-explanatory, right? I shouldn't have to explain much of this. Show text, we're going to say, like, oh, hello, or whatever, and then he'll say hello when we talk to him, right? We can have, this other one is kind of important, I feel like. Let me find where it is. There's a shop screen one that you are probably going to need if, like, you're just starting out. Yeah, shop process. So we have battle processing, shop processing, and end processing. These are all three that you're definitely going to need. I know for certain I probably could have benefited from learning what battle processing is. Battle processing starts a battle, and then so let's have a battle, right? So this guy turns into a Grassland 1 encounter, which I don't know what that is. It's the default thing for RPGMaker. You will probably name your enemy troops. I have a video talking about essentials and, like, RPGMaker essentials, basically. So, you can do whatever. You can have it change variable. This will change. So if you have, like, a variable of 1, for instance, right? It's going to go to your first enemy encounter. Or this first variable, if it's set to 1, it'll go to whatever that is, etc., etc. These are kinds of attacks. Not really anything I can be discussing. Battle background, self-explanatory. If escaped, you can interrupt the event. You can have a conditional branch appear if you are defeated. You can have a conditional branch, etc., etc. So let's have this conditional branch, right? So if you won, he'll say, like, fuck you. And then he'll disappear. We want him to disappear, right? So generally what I will do is I will flash the screen, play a sound effect. And then you can erase event, but that'll only work temporarily. Erase event works in the map that you're in. It doesn't work for everything. So if you want, like, a boss encounter and you can go back to that same dungeon, I would recommend using a switch. If you don't want if you want that dungeon to be permanently closed off, then I would still recommend using a switch, but I would not erase it. Control switches. We'll have this switch for boss killed. Yeah, that's a good example. Turn it on. So then we'll make a next page for boss killed, and he will be gone because we don't need him anymore. If you're defeated, he'll say like, try again, or something like that. Basic stuff, right? So we got our little boss example right here. Let's create a... So for shop processing and in processing, same thing. It's just going to open a shop. We can have items here. We'll put all these here. Yeah, so if the player bought or sold. So you can have it set to a normal shop, a buy only, or a sell only shop. Buy only means you can only buy, sell only means you can only sell. So I don't really know where you'd want to do a sell only. I mean, no, I did that in in Beetle Ninja, so I definitely know where you'd want to do it. But generally you're gonna use a normal shop, and then this is to do with that terms glossary I was discussing, I think, in a previous video. If not, I'll make another video about it. In processing, it'll be X gold for 1 night. Will you stay the night? So this again goes back to the whole like glossary I was discussing earlier. I'm sorry, I have a cold, as I said earlier, so I'm not really able to focus that well. We can have a conditional branch if the player stayed as well. We can have a cost, depending on what we do. If you stay, we can teleport the player somewhere. If you leave, like teleporting them to their room, basically. If you leave, like, we can have them say, like, oh, like, have a nice day, or whatever, blah, 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 etc., etc. Yeah, that's pretty much it for NPCs. I mean, let's do a create transfer event. Create transfer event is basically like a fast way of creating an event, because RPGMaker knows you're going to want to create a lot of doors, and doors are an event. They're a transfer event. So what a transfer event does is it creates a hide screen, a show screen, and then transfer to a map. Pretty basic stuff. That's really all I think I was asked about NPCs. Trying to think if there's anything else I can teach. There's not really much else. NPCs are very basic. You're not going to need that much knowledge to program them in. Yeah. I mean, there's some more advanced stuff. I could open up Beetle and just source code at some point, again, and explain some of the more complicated programming shit with it. But honestly, that's not. I don't want to get into all that in a basic RPGMaker tutorial, no, because this is more about teaching you the essentials of what you need, and you can build upon that. But anyway, cheers. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.